another episode of GAP Gracepoint Online. It's awesome to have you joining us, and we really look forward to discussing today another episode of our segment, What's the Issue? Today, we're looking at the issue of technology, something that a lot of parents struggle with, and a lot of teens want more of, or preteens want to be able to engage more, but sometimes they can't because of restrictions that their parents place on them. And so today, we're going to be talking about what is right when it comes to technology boundaries and what should parents be thinking about, looking at, and what can we do to help. And so today we're joined by Stanford January as well. He is joining us as a youth pastor and somebody who definitely engages a lot of technology and teenagers and knows how to deal with those boundaries. And so Stan, if you want to just introduce yourself to us quickly.
Hi, everyone, and thank you to Gracepoint and ILS for the opportunity to be a guest. I am Stanford, a youth pastor at Bryanston Methodist Church. I do use technology, so looking forward to share my insights on the use of technology and the boundaries thereof. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. So today we're going to basically just be speaking about where do we start when it comes to technology, especially as a parent. As parents, we know that technology is something that our teenagers or our preteens or even our younger children use on a daily basis, whether it be at school, whether it be at home, around family, even sometimes to the point that it is used in family spaces. And at times, this is great for learning and being able to use technology and connect with their peers, but it also sometimes hinders connection with people face to face. If someone is on their device, it's quite hard to have a conversation with them, as many of you as parents will know. And so today we want to look at what do we do and how do we engage this? And so basically, the first thing that I want to just discuss is why do you think is technology such an important part of the life of a preteen or a teenager? What's the big deal about technology with them?
First and foremost, I think my observation is a universal one that preteens or teenagers have not found this world without technology. So the world they know is characterized by technology, and so it is important in their lives. So when we wake up, it's technology. Connection technology, communication technology, even schooling technology. So it makes life easy. It helps us connect. It also helps us learn, because now every now and then when you check, the learning materials are now moving from textbooks to digital devices. So technology is part of our lives. It has become an integral part of our life, very important part of our life. So that's why whenever we have load shedding, we are agitated, we are angry, because it stops the use of technology, which makes our lives easy. So it becomes an important part of our lives. At school, we use technology. At work, our parents use technology. Even at home, to connect. It saves us time. It gives us information. It also helps us to understand that community does not necessarily mean we need to be next to each other to be connected.
Thanks, Dan. So, of course, technology is a massive part of the life of your children. And so, often when you start to impose boundaries, and I'm sure you've heard this with your teens as well, the minute parents start to put some boundaries in place, there is often conflict that happens. Teenagers will be saying, Mom, how am I supposed to have fun? How am I supposed to chat to my friends when I can't use my phone 24/7? But why do you think, Stan, is boundaries so important for use of technology?
Boundaries, first and foremost, are important in every space, whether it's in technology, whether it's relationships, it's friendships. So it is important for us then to understand as preteens that when our parents come with boundaries, they come from a position of loving us and caring about us. It's not to say they don't like us, they don't want us to be on our devices. No. First and foremost, understand that your parents love you. Also, on your end, understand that in any way in our lives, when there are no boundaries, that is a danger and we are bound to fall. So boundaries are then important, because when you look at young people, most young people experience cyberbullying. and many young people experience pain, and others are even human trafficked because it all begins in technology. Also, the other thing to consider is when there are no boundaries, we find ourselves in a space where we are sitting on a table as a family and everyone is connected, they are talking to each other, and someone is on their phone. It's rude. And when there are boundaries, we know that, okay, this is time to connect. This is time to put our phones. When there are boundaries, we know when it's time to study and when it's time to be on our phones. When there are no boundaries, indeed, we are going to fall and it's a recipe for disaster. So, first, let's receive boundaries from a point of our parents loving us and also understand that it is for our own good. And secondly, boundaries are not there because parents don't understand technology. Parents have been here before us, and when they want us to have boundaries, they are also protecting us because um, it's also not about cyberbullying. There is physical harm that we are being protected from. There is mental health that we need to protect. And as a result, we are then able to protect our spaces through our boundaries. We are also able to understand that there are other things that we need to do. There are other people that we need to connect with outside of these devices or people that we need to connect with virtually.
I really love how you speak into that idea of connection, that it's not about your parents trying to disrespect you or create something with you, or conflict with you, or trying to upset their children, but it's all about that loving relationship and connection. And that's often very hindering to have that relationship if one is so busy with technology. So, in other words, parents, you are justified in trying to put boundaries in place for your teens or your preteens when it comes to technology. And so the next question on your mind, and maybe our closing question for today as we explore this topic, is what are some healthy boundaries for preteens? So children between the ages of 10 and 12 generally will be having their phones for the first time, maybe a tablet, a laptop, something that they use for schooling. And so what kind of boundaries can we put into place to protect them, but also to make sure that that connection and that relationship is still possible, even in the home space? And so, Stan, if you can just give us some ideas of what you think could be some nice, helpful boundaries.
Thank you. And I'm happy that we are not only having a theoretical conversation, but we are also getting into context and talking about practicalities. First thing that I would like to maybe advance and put forward as a boundary would be to manage our times on the phone. When it's time for meals or it's family time, then all boundaries, then all gadgets should be put away. And not only by preteens, but by parents as well, because you wouldn't want to say to your child, we shouldn't have phones on the table when we are eating, and then next thing you are on your WhatsApp or you have an emergency. So if you say no phones, then it's a family rule. Also have study times. So time management. I said time for meals, study time. So when it's time for studying, you know that your phone must be away. Also have times of using a phone. As Ilse said, you are young, you are a preteen, and you are on your phone, and it's the best thing ever. You don't want to put it down because every time you want to say bye, your friend has something lit to say to you, and then you end up being on your phone for more than you had anticipated. And when you are on your phone for this time, something that you had to do is not done because you've taken the time that you were supposed to do something and you were on your phone. So it's you now need to learn boundaries. The other thing is parents, talk to your children about safeties, pros and cons of technology. There are, when children have phones, it's beautiful because they are like other kids, they've got phones. But most importantly, the question that we need to ask ourselves as adults is, what is the content that our preteens are consuming on their phones? And the fact that we don't have access to their Google searches and all that should always make us wonder, what is it they're Googling, or what is it that they are exposed to through these phones? So Have conversations around the importance of what is the content to consume and what is the content that they need to watch out from. The other practical thing that we need to look at in terms of boundaries is have phone time. Like for there is our phones have what we call screen time lock. If you set your phone that it needs to lock its screen by 7 p.m. and then it will unlock itself by 6 p.m. If you need to do that, you do that so that you know that in this time I have zoned out of this phone. I am present alongside people. And then during family events, do not be on your phone. You know, it's so rude when you are trying to connect or talk to a person and they are on their phone and they're like, or they are on their laptops or iPads. So we need to know when to be present and when to use our gadgets. Technology is a gift. It's a beautiful thing. It makes our lives easier, but we also need to be responsible because technology will not say to us, stop, you have overused me. But it's us who needs to say, I think I've had enough or I've done enough for the day. And lastly, technology was meant for us. We were not meant for technology. So this simply means we always have power over our usage. We have power over our content that we are consuming. And we always need to know what is it that we want there, because it's all well and good to be there and use all these beautiful gadgets. But what is it that you want? How do you know when you are accessing a content that you are not supposed to? And for me, it's always a conversation between parents and their preteens. It shouldn't be parents instructing their children. It shouldn't also be children being rebellious. But it always has to be a conversation to say, you are always on your phone. What is it that you are doing in your phone? Is it a game? If it's a game, it's an online game. If it's an online game, what is an online game? What are the pros and cons of an online game? Because in an online gaming, you get to talk to other people out there. And at times when you start to feel safe around them, then the next step might be, let's meet at Monte Casino and all that. And you are tempted to go there because I've been playing with this person for this time, and they feel real. They feel like they are part of the community of all my life. So you then are tempted to go and meet, even though it might be dangerous, because that's how, for example, some of human trafficking happens. So it always has to be a conversation. We need to weigh all these things. Even though technology is good, we need boundaries so that we find ourselves in a good space mentally, emotionally, and psychologically, even though we enjoy technology.
Thank you. That's really helpful. And I think just to wrap up and summarize for us everything that you've just said is just the importance of boundaries is not to spoil the fun for the teenager or for your preteen. It's just to make sure that they've got healthy boundaries in place that protect them. And that's ultimately what you as a parent want to do, is that you want to look after your children. And so even when they fight you about this, which they probably will, and have something to say, just remember the reason of why you are putting those boundaries in place. It's to protect them. Because you love them. Keep communicating with them. And I think ultimately something that you raise as well is make sure that you model healthy behavior, because as a parent there is something so powerful that you have in what you do. Your teens and your preteens will do what you do more than they will do what you say. And so model healthy technology boundaries for them. Have those conversations, come to agreement with them, and remember to continue persisting in your calling as a parent even when it gets tough. Thank you for joining us for another episode of What's the Issue Today. Join us again next time as we explore another one of those topics that you might have a problem with at home or be experiencing or even want to know more about.